Hello people on the internet. In this video, I will be creating a painting inspired by a Minecraft painting. Now for some reason, I was failed to record game sound, but that's okay. I will just use silent film style then. Alright, this is our reference painting. Now, if you don't know, Minecraft paintings are actually pixelated real-life paintings. Christopher Zetterstrand is a creator. Mr. Zetterstrand
is someone whose paintings combine classical traditional art and computer graphics. Whenever he makes a painting such as this, he usually starts in a 3D program where he can mess around with light sources and move objects around in a composition until he gets a completed digital still life. He then takes that digital work and paints it in a physical medium, such as oil. He found that after being killed in Counter-Strike, he would enter a game mode which allowed him to move through the game map freely and follow players as the game continued, which would garner images such as this, with landscapes and architecture being abruptly separated by void. This also meant he would try to get himself killed on purpose so he could look in this mode more often.
Okay, let me start making my composition. And this is the plan of this video. While I'm working on this painting, I'm also placing a recording of me trying to beat Minecraft here. Hopefully, by the end of this video, I will have painting finished to my liking and have also killed the Ender Dragon. The original painting gives me a surrealism vibe, and I'm going to expand on that. For the purpose of practicing my painting skills, I will replace the black background and the green surface with something else. I'm thinking a night sky with aurora. Under the sky is some fire on a lake. Okay, great. I get to practice some textures. Now, when we think of surrealism, this painting comes to our mind. The melting clock is almost like an icon to surrealism, so I decided to add a clock to my composition too, because compositionally I feel like I need something on the bottom right corner. Actually, I have more thoughts about the clock, but I'm too lazy to explain and some of them get too personal. So I made these tiny thumbnail previews, found a Homer bust photo from internet, did a tiny study of it, and began a sketch with more informations. I coded pencil drawing with Fixer, and it's time to color. I'm using acrylic for this sketch because acrylic dries way faster, thus the whole process will be a lot faster. With reference photos found online, I unified color palettes and made the objects appear as if they are in the same environment. Sketch is done. Let's move on to our 24 by 24 canvas. I realized that for the purpose of practicing, what I really should be doing is observational drawing, so I borrowed a bust. I tried my best to mimic lighting of fire, but due to the equipment limitation, I still need to rely on a lot of my imagination. It would be nice to have an actual clock for me to study as well, but I couldn't find one to borrow and I didn't want to buy one just for this painting. Maybe one day when I become more successful, I can afford to buy more props for studies and videos. And now is the good time to like the video to show your support. I'm using acrylic to do the grisaille layer, and with the help of retarder, I was able to do some blending before the paint dries. Snack time. Grisaille layer is done. It's time to glaze. For the aurora, I applied a slightly thicker paint consists mainly cobalt blue and zinc white. Add some cadmium yellow to certain areas to give a hint of emerald green. I then brushed the applied paint vertically to imitate the texture of aurora. I used to use liquid to help my oil paint run better and speed up the drying process, but because I'm in a confined space, I find this gambling solvent-free gel to be a great liquid alternative when painting indoor. It is just a little bit pricey though, about $2 more for every 150 ml. If compared to a Winsor Newton liquid original. I used mainly ultramarine blue mixed with burnt amber for the darker part of the lake. Yellow ochre, cadmium yellow, and cadmium red were introduced when I started painting water around the fire. And then added in some titanium white when painting fire. The figure looked way hotter before I colored it. It's either because of how lighting can drastically change one's face, or because I messed up somewhere. Probably the latter. Anyway, I had to return the bust. Moving on to the other parts of the painting. I used the impasto technique to paint the brightest part of fire. This is a very common technique. It enables paint to catch and reflect more light. This painting took many days to paint. Whenever you see me reglazing an area, a day or two has passed, because I have to wait for the previous layer to dry before adding a new layer. Okay, I stopped here and considered it done. But a couple days later, I started to feel the sky is too bright. I need to darken the sky and maybe the lake a little bit too. That's not too hard, just another layer of glaze will do, just to make sure the previous layer is dry. I used ultramarine blue with burnt umber again, mixed with linseed oil, to do this darkening layer of glaze. It's really subtle, but I can tell the difference. I also forgot to sprinkle some stars, so here I'm mixing titanium white with a touch of cobalt blue to make some stars. You can't really tell because of the reflection, but it's visible when you look closer and it adds some interest to the background. And I believe that's it. As always, thank you for watching and I will see you in the next video.